What do people always say after New Year's, after they do their resolutions? I want to get fit. I want to make more money. What does that actually mean? Do you want to get fit? Do you want to run a marathon? Or do you want to become a sprinter? Or do you want to become a bodybuilder? You can get fit in different ways, but they mean very different things when it comes to implementation. Marathon involves a lot of running. Bodybuilding involves a lot of weights. So what you do in the process will be determined by where you want to go specifically. Hey, it's Mark at Magnetic. It's another new year, and today what I want to talk to you about is going from goal setting to goal getting. So why is it actually important to set goals? I mean, people set goals all the time, but they rarely ever achieve their goals. And you might say, hey, well, why bother? Well, imagine that you're going to a new destination, somewhere where you haven't been to before, and you're driving a car. In the car, you don't have a GPS or some sort of navigation system. You're already going to encounter a bunch of roadblocks, some traffic, maybe an accident that you have to get around, and without knowing clearly where you actually want to go, things are not only going to slow you down, but you may never reach a destination because you don't even know where you're trying to head to.
If you don't specify what you want, you won't get it. And if you specify what you want and you want it, which means you're willing to make the sacrifices necessary to get it, then the probability that you'll get it expands immensely.
I caught up with an old client today who I haven't seen for a while, and he had gotten himself involved in a different business from when I last spoke to him. And he was telling me that, hey, they were making $8 million, a lot of revenue coming through the business, but they couldn't keep any of it. And I asked him, what are you actually trying to do? What was your goal? And he said, I don't really know. They didn't really know what they were trying to do, what they're trying to achieve, why they were doing it. So it is going to be really hard to achieve any sort of goal when you don't have a focus and a destination that you're trying to reach. Was the goal actually revenue, or was it profit, or a combination of both? So the first thing that setting goals is going to help you do is give you clarity in what you are actually aiming for. And this will allow you to create a pathway, put some pit stops in, some milestones, and give you the shortest path to where you're trying to go. And of course, this is going to save you time, it's going to save you resources, it's going to save you energy, money, it's going to save you frustration from hitting roadblocks all the time. That's why it's really important to be able to set goals. But perhaps the more important thing is, how do you actually reach the goals? And what I'm going to share with you today are some of the common mistakes and the common misconceptions and the common traps that people bump into when they're actually working on getting the goal that they have set out to achieve. So while we're on the topic, let's start on the first one, which is not being clear on what you actually want or why you want it. That's the very first thing that you've got to be clear on, because if that is not clear, nothing else will be clear. It's hard to plan milestones and pit stops to a destination that you are not even clear of. So you have to be clear on the general direction of where you want to go, the largest milestone, right? The big, hairy goal. And when that is available to you, you can work on other things that will help break it down. But that's one of the most common things that I find that people get wrong. They don't get clear on the end point. They don't get clear on what they actually want. And one of the most common things I find is they don't also have the why. Why do they want to reach that destination? Is that the right destination for them right now? The second common mistake that people fall into the trap of all the time is that when they do set a goal, that they actually set a very broad goal and leave it at that. Once you have your overarching goal, you need to break it down into something specific, because what do people always say after New Year's, after they do their resolutions? I want to get fit. I want to make more money. What does that actually mean? Do you want to get fit? Do you want to run a marathon? Or do you want to become a sprinter? Or do you want to become a bodybuilder? You can get fit in different ways, but they mean very different things when it comes to implementation. Marathon involves a lot of running. Bodybuilding involves a lot of weights. So what you do in the process will be determined by where you want to go specifically. You also have to be specific when it comes to the time frame. When do you need to achieve what in order to be able to reach your goal? Because in some cases, missing out on certain time frames means that that goal is no longer achievable. The other thing that you need is to be able to measure your goals. If you cannot measure it, how do you know you're actually reaching your destination? You cannot measure get fit, right? Do you get fit when you run 1 kilometer? Are you done? So you need an actual measure of your endpoint and the steps along the way. And that's something that people commonly make a mistake of, and they don't plan that out and make that explicit. So it's hard to manage something that you cannot measure. Just like in a business. Are you going for revenue? Are you going for profit? Are you going for income? Is it before tax? Is it after tax? The way you define the specifics make a huge difference in what you are actually targeting. Another common mistake that people make is that they set a goal in 12-month time frames. There's no magic number to 12 months apart from you've got the first of the month of the year and you've got the 31st, the last month of the year. What's the point in doing that? You don't have to have a goal that spans 1 year. You can have a goal that spans 18 months, 15 months, 20 months, 24 months, 36 months. However long it takes for you to reach your goal, don't put a time limit to your ability to achieve your goal. The next common mistake that people make is changing their goals because they didn't hit them. There's so many times that I've seen when people have a goal for 12 months, the 12 months comes up, it finishes off, and what they do is instead of continuing to work on those goals, they go, hey, look, I want to achieve a six-pack in this year, right? But then they don't. And they go, okay, well, I want to buy a car. But what's the point of setting a goal and not hitting it and then changing the goal? Do you want it or do you not want it? Work on your goal until you get it. If it takes more than 12 months, it doesn't matter. You don't have to change it because you didn't achieve it. This is something I see all the time. And if you do it this way, you will never be able to reach your goals if it takes longer than the time frame you've set yourself for that goal. Here's another common mistake. What this does is it demotivates people from reaching their goals. And that is when they set a goal that is way too big. I had a client once who was in business for about 35 plus years, and they're turning over about $2.5 million. And he said, look, I want to reach 5 billion. That's how big I want to get. And I said, well, in what time frame? And he said, in 12 months. And my jaw just fell down and said, what? Are you serious? And he said, yeah, I think I can do it. In 12 months, I've got the best products. And I said, look, you've taken 36 years to get to 2.5 million. What makes you think that in the next 12 months, you're going to hit 5 billion? His goal was way too big. And he knew it deep down, right? Deep down, he knew it. In the back of your mind, if you do this, your mind is going to say,
BS, that's never going to happen.
And you're going to fool yourself into thinking that you're going to achieve that. But in the back of your mind, you know it's never going to happen. So you're fooling yourself. You are in denial. This is something that is very harmful to people when they know that something's never going to happen, but they are in denial and they pretend that, yes, there's some magic pill that will come and save me and I'll hit my goal all of a sudden. You set a goal that's way too big. That's not going to be a motivator. It's going to be a demotivator, not only for you, but for your team. You're going to lose the confidence of your team because you're setting unrealistic goals that they know it will never be reached. And good people will walk away because they're going to lose their confidence in your leadership. So don't set goals that are way too big for the next 12 to 18 months. Maybe down the track. Maybe it's a faraway vision. I'm not saying don't have a big vision, but I'm talking your goal in the next 12, 24, 36 months. It's the next step up for your business. And let me just hone in on that, because what should a goal be? What's the difference between a goal and a vision? A goal should be something big enough to bring you to the next level of your business. If you're talking about a vision for the next 20 or 30 years, that can be big, that can be hairy, that can be totally wild, that's fine. But your goal is something in the near future that you are aiming to achieve. So don't set it too big, otherwise you demotivate yourself and you demotivate your team. The other common mistake that I see is when people set a goal that is too small. When you set a goal that is way too small, that you know you can achieve, it's also demotivating, not just for you, but the people around you as well. Right? If you're going to investors or you're pitching your business and you're looking at such a small goal, then you're not going to get much credibility. You're not going to build much excitement. You're going to tell yourself, hey, that's easy. I can do that. I don't need to be motivated. Yeah, that'll be a piece of cake. And so you don't end up working on it. You don't even end up achieving that easy thing. And if you do, what does it matter? It's such a small goal. Who cares if you actually achieve it? Unless there's a disclaimer, right? Unless you found it so hard to achieve any goals that you have to set small goals to be able to give yourself confidence. There's a clause in that. But if you're generally kind of in the normal range of people or businesses and you have the ability, you have done certain things, and you know that you're able to push yourself, and you have some drive and you have some motivation, go for a goal that is achievable, but a little bit out of your reach, a little bit out of your comfort zone, so you can help give yourself the right level of motivation to be able to go out and achieve that. Setting a goal that's way too small is not going to make you hungry enough to go out and get it. Another common mistake is setting way too many goals. Some people will go out there, and I've been guilty of this. I want to achieve too many things. I want to achieve a huge amount of growth in business. I want to get a huge amount of improvement in my health. I want to get super fit. I want to learn all these new skills. I want to do all these things, 7 or 8 or 9 different things that I want to achieve in a very short and condensed time frame. That also doesn't take you anywhere, right? So what I have found has worked really, really well for myself and our team is setting goals that are only between 1 to 3, right? 1 to 3 key goals for the year, depending on your team. If you go 1, that's already great. Achieving one thing, one major thing for the year is a huge achievement. If you have a very optimistic or aggressive team, go for 3, but don't go over 3. Because once you start going over 3, you're diluting your focus, you're diluting your attention, and you're going to be diluting your ability to manage achieving those goals. So 1 goal is really, really good. And you know what? When you achieve that 1 goal, there's no reason why you can't create your next goal. If 6 months into the year you have achieved what you want to achieve, do your goal setting again until you get to your next goal. There's no reason why January 1 is the magical day that you start setting new goals. You can set goals anytime. July 27, if you're finished with your old goal, set a new goal for the next 6, 12, 18 months. It's better to have 1 goal and hit it than 10 goals and miss every single one. Another big mistake that people make is not tracking their goals. They do their goal setting at the beginning of the year, and then they don't track their goals regularly, right? So if you cannot track your goals, how do you know where you're going? How do you know how you're progressing? If you're not tracking your goals, then you don't get the satisfaction of the progress along the way, but you don't get the feedback as well of how things are going. Are you going in the right direction? Do you want to drive for 800 kilometers and realize you've gone the wrong way? You don't want to do that, right? So you got to track how you're going, where you're going. Are you getting nearer to your goal, or are you getting further from your goal? And you have to be able to do this tracking so that it's visible to you and also visible for your team. If you don't track your goals, it's going to be really hard to manage the progress. Here's where it gets a little bit more advanced as far as management skills is concerned. Another mistake that people make in leadership positions is they don't share their goal broadly with their team. Go through all the trouble of sitting down and working out your goals, and you work it all out. It's all written down, it's all documented, you got it all tracked, and you keep it all to yourself. Right? If you don't share it with your team, they're not going to be able to help you. They're going to go around doing what they think should be done, and they're going to create their own ways and goals and things they want to achieve, and it's not going to sync back to what you want to do. So this is a really, really key thing here. When you've got other people that are working with you, they're all going to be driving in different directions unless you give them the map that you have created. And unless you have created that final destination, that address where you're all going to meet up, then they're not going to know that you want to go there. You'll end up in different destinations, and at the end of the year, you're going to go, what happened? Why did I get spread thin? Why did no one help me? Right? Because you didn't share your goal. So what's important to do when you're sharing your goal is not only to communicate your goal or goals, but also to make sure that the people you're communicating it to have comprehended your definition of the goal. Your definition, your time frames, your measurement, your tracking, they are aware, and you're all in sync. You're all going to the same destination. So the last thing I'm going to go through, and this is a very, very big mistake that people make when you're going from goal setting to goal getting, right? Is being accountable to hit your goals. And not being accountable means that your goals are optional. They're not a must. They're a coulda, woulda, shoulda. If there's something else that comes in the way in front of your goal that's fun or nice to have, you do that instead. When you are accountable to reach your goals, you make sure you remove every obstacle in the way so that you can work on getting those goals. And you are accountable to achieving and going to the place you want to go in the time frame that you want to go with the specific measures that you want to achieve. That means don't make excuses why you didn't do what you needed to do. A lot of the journey is being accountable to the steps that you will take when you break down that goal into 30 or 40 different tasks. right? That big goal is not going to achieve itself. You're going to have to break it down into tasks. You may need other people to help you with your goal, maybe other people in your team, other people who are service providers, and people who will help you out. So there will be a whole bunch of people that will be contributing to your goal, and you can't cop out and say, hey, the bank didn't approve my loan, or my employee didn't do what I asked them to do, or the tradies that I hired didn't turn up. You can't give those excuses. You have to find a way. You have to go get it done, or find someone who can get it done for you if you can't do it yourself. And if you've got people helping you that are not the right people for it, keep changing it. Keep going over the obstacles, around the obstacles, through the obstacles, until you get the goals. But that involves being accountable. That means you must lead the way. You must walk the talk. Lead by example. So I'm not giving you a recipe that is for the people who really don't want to hit their goals. I'm talking to the people who seriously want to achieve their potential. For people who really have more excuses than dreams and desires to hit their goals, none of this is going to work for you. I'm sorry to say that. But if you actually genuinely want to reach your goals and you're just getting stuck, this is at a level of excellence that will work for a small business, a medium business, a large business, a huge corporate. It's been tried, it's been tested in many different organizations, and it has been very, very effective. So if you follow this, you're not only going to reach your goals, you're going to start pushing to the next level, which I hope to see you and hear from you when you do that. So this is Market Magnetic signing out. See you again next time. I hope that you smash your goals for this year. Look forward to hear the good news from you. Bye for now.